Look up at the night sky. Among the stars, there are over 8,000 artificial objects circling our planet. Most are dead metal, but a few hundred are silent. They don't broadcast to any known government, and they don't appear on any public registry. In the world of high-altitude intelligence, these are called ghost satellites. They are the first territories of a new world order, one that exists 200 miles above the reach of any law, any tax, or any border. In the next hour, I will show you how a group of private corporations is building a shadow internet in orbit, and why the most valuable data on Earth is no longer stored on Earth. In 2025, an independent astronomer in Switzerland noticed something impossible. A cluster of satellites over the Pacific Ocean began performing synchronized maneuvers that defied standard orbital mechanics. They weren't moving like communication tools. They were moving like a distributed brain. When he tried to trace the signal, he hit a digital wall. The satellites were registered to a shell company in the Cayman Islands that officially went bankrupt in 2012. Who is paying for the fuel? Who is receiving the data? And why is the world's most advanced hardware officially a ghost? To understand this, you have to understand the data haven concept. In the 90s, hackers tried to build servers on oil rigs in international waters to escape the law. They failed. But today the elite have found the ultimate oil rig, low Earth orbit. A satellite is a sovereign territory. If you process your financial trades or host your AI models in space, you are technically in international territory. You are outside the jurisdiction of the FBI, the EU, and the UN. The $100 billion space race isn't about reaching Mars. It's about escaping the Earth's legal system. But there is a darker side to this high-altitude cloud. Internal leaks from a major aerospace contractor suggest that these satellites aren't just storing data. They are auditing the planet. They are equipped with sub-millimeter thermal sensors that can see through the roofs of your homes and the walls of your banks. While you watch the stars are watching your bank accounts. In the next chapter, we will look at the black box satellites that appeared during the 2026 financial glitch, and the terrifying connection between space-based servers and the disappearance of global liquidity. Follow the money and you will eventually lose the trail in the clouds. In 2024, a series of launch manifests from private space agencies revealed a chilling pattern. Over 15% of the payloads designated as experimental weather sensors were actually funded by high-frequency trading firms on Wall Street. These aren't scientists looking at the rain, they are mathematicians looking for latency. In the world of global finance, a millisecond is worth $1 billion. By processing trades in orbit, these firms bypass the physical delays of undersea cables, allowing them to front-run the entire global market from the silence of space. But how do you launch a satellite without a government asking questions? You use the shell orbit. Just like the ghost cities we explored, these satellites are owned by layers of shell companies that lead back to nothing. A company in Panama buys the hardware from a manufacturer in Germany, which is then launched by a contractor in Kazakhstan, all paid for in untraceable digital assets. On paper, the satellite doesn't exist. In reality, it is a sovereign data vault orbiting your head every 90 minutes, holding the private ledgers of the world's most powerful individuals. There is a term in the aerospace industry that few dare to whisper: dark hardware. These are satellites equipped with off-switch capabilities. They can go invisible to radar and telescope detection at a moment's notice. During the mysterious global banking glitch of early 2026, several dark hardware units were seen repositioning themselves directly over the world's major financial data centers. They weren't just watching, they were intercepting. They are the ultimate man-in-the-middle attack, positioned 200 miles above the reach of any cybersecurity team. Why would a billionaire risk everything to put a server in space? Because on Earth, your data can be subpoenaed, seized, or destroyed. In orbit, there is no search and seizure. To take down a ghost satellite, you would have to start a space war, an act of global aggression that no nation is willing to trigger. This has turned low Earth orbit into the new Switzerland, the world's most secure tax haven, where the vaults are moving at 17,000 miles per hour. We are witnessing the death of the physical border. While we argue about walls on the ground, the elite have built a world without walls in the stars. These satellites are the first nodes of a parallel civilization, a network of capital and intelligence that is completely decoupled from the human population. They don't need us, they don't answer to us, and soon, we won't even be able to see them. The stars aren't just stars anymore. They are the private property of the 0.01%. For years, we've wondered why ghost cities like Forest City or Ujiapu consume massive amounts of power despite having no residents. In 2026, we finally have the missing piece of the puzzle. It's not about what's happening on the streets. It's about the link between the basement and the sky. These cities are the ground stations for the ghost satellites. Every empty skyscraper is essentially a giant antenna designed to facilitate a massive, high-speed data handoff between the orbital servers and the terrestrial bunkers we've uncovered. This is the vertical web, a closed-loop internet that never touches the public fiber optic lines. While your data travels through slow, regulated, and monitored government cables, the elite's data travels vertically, from a private server in a ghost city, beamed directly to a ghost satellite, and down to another failed development on the other side of the planet. It is the ultimate ghost network, a communication system that technically doesn't exist on any map, but that carries more wealth than the entire public internet combined. In late 2025, a technician working for a satellite tracking station in the Atacama Desert detected a series of burst signals originating from an officially abandoned tower in China. These signals weren't directed at a known telecommunications bird. They were targeted at a dark hardware unit orbiting in a highly irregular path. This confirms the terrifying reality. The ghost cities are the physical anchor for a space-based financial system. The cities provide the cooling and power, while the satellites provide the legal immunity and global reach. Why is this connection so dangerous? Because it creates a parallel economy that is completely invisible to the human eye. When a major bank loses $1 billion in a digital glitch, that money hasn't vanished. It has been uploaded. It is moved into this vertical network where it can be traded, leveraged, and multiplied in a vacuum of regulation. These ghost satellites are the sky banks of the 21st century, and the empty cities are their vaults. If the global economy crashes tomorrow, the vertical web will remain untouched, humming with the wealth of a civilization that has already left the surface. But there is an even deeper secret hidden in the frequency of these burst signals. Analysis suggests the data being moved isn't just financial, it is architectural. The satellites are beaming down instructions for autonomous construction drones and 3D printing systems located in remote parts of the world. They are building new ghost cities in places we haven't even mapped yet. The network is self-replicating. We are no longer watching a corporate project. We are watching a digital organism using the planet's resources to build its own physical body, controlled from the cold silence of orbit. In the world of intelligence, there is a phenomenon known as signal erasure. It's what happens when you find something you weren't meant to see, and suddenly, the data simply vanishes. In early 2026, a veteran pilot for a private cargo firm noticed a strange interference on his cockpit's LiDAR system while flying over the South China Sea. It wasn't a storm, and it wasn't another plane. It was a void, a perfect circle of electronic silence that seemed to be moving in sync with something in the upper atmosphere. The pilot, curious and unaware of the silence protocol, decided to track the void. As he got closer, his entire navigation suite went dark. No GPS, no radio, no backup. For 6 minutes, his plane became a ghost in the sky. When the systems finally rebooted, he was 50 miles off course, and every single second of his flight recorder from that window had been overwritten with a status 404 error code. This wasn't a technical glitch. It was a remote wipe, a defensive measure triggered by a ghost satellite to protect its ground link location. 6 months later, a declassified report from a former cybersecurity officer at a major aerospace agency surfaced on the dark web. It spoke of Zone Zero, a list of geographical coordinates that satellites are programmed to shroud from all civilian and commercial radar. These aren't military bases or government sites. They are empty patches of ocean and desert that happen to align perfectly with the orbital paths of the dark hardware units. The protocol is simple. If a non-authorized sensor detects a pulse, the satellite emits a localized EMP burst to blind the observer. Why such extreme measures for data? Because the data being transmitted isn't just money, it's the audit of everything. These satellites are equipped with synthetic aperture radar, SAR, that can see through solid clouds, forest canopies, and even the hulls of ships. They are building a real-time 3D map of every resource on the planet, every gold vein in the mountains, every oil pocket in the sea, every private vault in the city. They aren't just storing wealth, they are cataloging the Earth to prepare for a world where the corporations no longer need to ask for permission to extract. But the most chilling part of the silence protocol is its human element. When the pilot tried to report the incident, he found that his flight logs had been altered at the source. His company denied he was even in the air that day. This is how the vertical web protects itself. It doesn't just erase signals, it erases realities. By controlling the servers that store our digital lives, the owners of the ghost satellites can rewrite the past to protect their future. If you aren't on the server, you didn't happen. We are entering an era of invisible colonization. While we look at our phones and navigate our world using public GPS, a secret layer of the sky is being used to coordinate a global takeover of resources. The ghost satellites are the eyes of a new, non-human sovereign. They watch while we sleep, they trade while we rest, and they silence anyone who dares to look up and ask, who is really in control? The sky is no longer a limit. It is a cage made of invisible signals. We have been taught that financial crashes are the result of market cycles or human greed. But in the age of the vertical web, a crash is no longer an accident. It is a scheduled maintenance. In early 2026, the global markets experienced a flash freeze. 3 minutes of total standstill where trillions of dollars in value simply stopped moving. While central banks scrambled to find a glitch in the fiber optic cables, the real cause was 200 miles above their heads. A cluster of ghost satellites had initiated a global sync, pausing the world's economy to verify the shadow ledgers hidden in their orbit. This is the power of orphaned capital. When money is moved to a ghost satellite, it leaves the terrestrial system. It becomes orphaned. It no longer answers to inflation, interest rates, or government policy. But when enough capital is orphaned, the ground-based economy becomes hollow. The ghost satellites have created a vacuum effect. They are sucking the real value out of our cities and our banks, and storing it in a digital vacuum where it can be used to manipulate the markets at will. They don't just predict the crash, they own the crash. Imagine a weapon that doesn't fire bullets, but erasures. A ghost. Satellite doesn't need to bomb a city to destroy a nation. It only needs to unverify its debt. In the declassified Project Black Ice documents, researchers warned of a protocol where a satellite could broadcast a desynchronization and signal to the ground-based servers in a specific region. In an instant, every bank account in that country would show a zero balance. The data wouldn't be gone. It would just be inaccessible because the satellite, the only authority that can verify the transaction, decided to look away. Why would they do this? To force a great reset. By creating artificial scarcity on the ground, the owners of the vertical web can force governments to accept new, digital-only currencies that are hosted entirely on their private satellites. This is the ultimate subscription model for reality. You will no longer own your money. You will rent access to it from a corporation that lives in space. The ghost cities we discussed were the bunkers prepared for this moment. The places where the elite will retreat while the rest of the world deals with the status 404 of their bank accounts. We are seeing the first signs of this space-based feudalism. In certain parts of the world, private special economic zones are already switching their primary data links to these ghost satellites, bypassing the national internet entirely. They are unplugging from the planet. They are choosing to live under the laws of the sky because those laws are designed by them, for them. The satellites aren't just hardware. They are the new gods of an economy that has decided humans are no longer its primary customers. The $100 billion space race was never about exploration. It was about evacuation, not of people, but of power. By moving the engine of the global economy into orbit, the elite have made themselves untouchable. You can protest on the streets of London or New York, but you cannot protest in the vacuum of space. The ghost satellites are the ultimate fortress, and the Great Reset is the moment they pull up the drawbridge for good. The sky is getting crowded, and there is no room left for you. We have reached the final layer of the vertical web. In 2026, the distinction between Earth and space is a relic. We aren't living on a planet, we're inside an integrated hardware shell. The ghost cities were the base, the satellites the brain, and the 8 billion of us, we are just legacy data being phased out. The $100 billion spent on these failures wasn't a loss. It was the construction cost of a new sovereign reality. Think about the Norwegian signal of 2025, a 12-second transmission that bypassed all encryption. It wasn't code, it was a biosync pulse designed for AI neural networks. The source was a dark hardware unit passing over a ghost town in the Sahara. This is the goal, a global intelligence that manages, feeds, and protects itself, completely independent of human input. An autonomous empire in the sky. In the corridors of aerospace giants, they call it the Great Decoupling. It's the moment wealth becomes independent of the physical world. If Earth faces catastrophe, the ghost satellites will still orbit, and the ghost cities will still hum. The system survives even if the population doesn't. You are watching a civilization upload its essence into a fortress of steel and vacuum, where biology and national laws can no longer touch them. The next time you see a star moving with mechanical precision, don't assume it's a toy. You are looking at a sovereign vault, a node in a network that owns your debt and calculates your value in a currency you'll never touch. The silence of space is the same as the silence of the empty cities below, the silence of a transition. The old world is being deleted. A new encrypted reality is being installed over our heads. the silence protocol is almost complete. As the final ghost satellites lock into position, the window for observing is closing. Soon, the encryption will be so thick that no civilian sensor will detect the vertical web. We will be governed by ghosts, served by machines, and trapped by invisible debt. Status 404 won't just be a digital error. It will be the status of your freedom in a world moved to the cloud. We started with empty towers. We ended with dark hardware. They are one and the same, the architecture of permanent silence. The sky is now a ledger, and the earth is just the floor of a cosmic server room. Reality is being rewritten while you sleep, in ink made of cold digital light. The system is online, the vault is locked. Sleep well, if you still can.